my house. And this station operates without a vapor recovery system. The operator, Midstream Pipeline, and the station owner, Brent Wiggs, cheerfully admits that Barnett Shale gas, the stuff that comes into this place, contains VOCs, but that's what his air vents are for. And he says, well, he owns up to 1.7 tons of VOCs per year. And I said, yeah, but you're permitted by rule, so if you had to, you could dump 25 tons. And most of it would go over my house. Okay. The corner gas station, though, and we said, our corner gas stations have vapor recovery system. And he goes, yeah. And then I said, well, I get tagged every year for an emissions fee in my truck. And he goes, yeah, but I'm a producer, but he gets home free. Also, he's got diesel engines there. They can belch whatever particulates they want to. His 2,500 horsepower electric generators, and isn't that nice? He's running in by electric power, and I said, oh, ozone. And I'm looking around for a monitor. There's no ozone monitor. Since I have COPD, I get very concerned about ozone. I'm not quite as optimistic as previous speakers who said, our air quality is getting better. And I'm going, oh good. The asthma epidemic is going away. My COPD is going to get better. I don't have to go out in public with my inhaler, particularly on days like today. I-35 in Fort Worth is lit up today. Orange ozone day. It flashes on the freeways. Now, that's not an indication of bad air. I don't know what it is. Okay. Vapor recovery systems. There'll be people who testify that say the Barnett Shale gas is pure, we don't need them. Well, if that's the case, why is it that it was reported on Blue Days on Monday, July 26, 2010, DISH gets vapor recovery systems? This is great. New storage devices to use vapor recovery to improve dish air quality. Vapor recovery systems pay for themselves over time. Wet gas or dry gas, they should be standard. And yet the TCEQ permit by rule effectively exempts most drilling sites because of a federally, whoops, that's you guys, 25-ton annually VOC threshold. Too high. Way too high. Okay, one last thing. Gas collection lines. Collectors in our area use unodorized gas. This is insane. These pipes go through schoolyards. If they leak, who's going to know until there's an explosion? Okay, also, I want to pay attention to Brett Ship, Channel 8. He has done wonderful work on natural gas production and investigations. This was posted June 24th, 2010. When the houses blew up, they blew up all over the Metroplex, starting in 2006. Survivors had no warning of natural gas leaks. Nobody smelled anything. The odorant in those lines had degraded. Don Denver, who was an engineer, worked for Exxon for 33 years. He said the entire industry knows that odorant fade is real, except for state regulators and Atmos Energy. Let's do something about that. When your neighbor's house blows up, it's cause for concern. And one other person I'd like to mention. Our local politicians haven't been real good at this. The state legislature, I think, for the last 5 sessions, has declined really to increase the Railroads Commission budget. Oh, we've got a deficit for some reason. The governor's haircuts, or a new driveway for the governor's house, who knows, but environment, we just don't want to spend money on that. But individual politicians, for some reason, mayors, have taken this as their concern. Kelvin Tillman and Bish and the late Mayor Dorothy Adderhall did stellar work. I live in Pantego. Dorothy, on her own hook, called Atmos and said, how many compression couplings do we have? They told her. She said, get them out of there. And they did. And she told me later, I didn't go to council because she probably wouldn't have gotten them out. She said, I called the gas company, I knew it had to be done, I knew it wasn't safe, and got them out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here this afternoon. My name is Bill Stevens. I'm Executive Vice President of the Texas Alliance of Energy Producers. We represent about 3,300 plus oil and gas operators in the state of Texas, predominantly smaller independents. About 70% of my membership have fewer than 10 employees. 5% have more than 100. So it's generally smaller operators in the state, although we do have some of the largest in the world. Anyway, happy to be here again. I wanted to come here today to basically reaffirm our commitment to working on these problems with you. And to reaffirm, I use the term reaffirm because Dr. Armendariz, that was a commitment that I made to you when we met on May 10th. And that's some of you use that term reaffirming. You, on that day, challenged the state associations, the state oil and gas associations from Region 6 to develop the methodology and funding for hiring an acceptable third-party vendor to provide EPA with equipment inventories and emission inventories, county-by-county basis throughout the 5 states. And I think as I said that day, I said that I thought the timeline of a year was inadequate and the cost would be exorbitant or beyond what our associations were able to do. And the amount of information, in our opinion, was also very, very, very daunting. I was impressed, however, and would have to be, with your commitment to carrying out your plan. And we asked you if that was an either or between there and enforcement, and you said that you didn't think that there was a third option. The states, we did come back to you with what we think is a third option. And I would appreciate all of you looking at that option. We believe that TCEQ, and like all of us, has warts. And we don't like being regulated, particularly. No one does. But it is our state agency. And our recommendation to you is to allow each of the 5 states to work with their respective state agencies to develop those emissions and equipment inventories based upon the procedures that already exist in the state implementation plans. And that doesn't come back to you carrying out the plan you presented us, but I think that we can do that and work with you in that manner. I know that we're already doing a lot, and you've heard from Debbie Hastings, you've heard from Leslie Savage with the Railroad Commission, and Rich Farella, former director of the Railroad Commission, now working with KIPRO on things that are being done, so I won't go back down that list with you. And I know that I would probably be admonished a little bit by this. I'd like to talk about refineries, but from a little bit different point of view, if you don't mind. I know that we're not writing that rule on refineries, but we're concerned, and remember, I do not represent refineries. I represent generally small oil and gas producers. And so that's not that's what I'm here doing, is representing them. We're concerned about the results of some of the actions that could potentially come from some of the actions you've taken, particularly on the permit of the Flint Hills Resources Refinery, the disapproving of the TCEQ flexible permit program. And the reason I say that, and I don't want to get off into your rulemaking on that, but those are our customers. Those refineries are the customers for my producers. They are our markets for our hydrocarbons. It is extremely important that we have markets for our product, like anybody selling widgets anywhere. But it is important because if you diminish the refining capacity of this nation, you will slowly but surely kill the productive capacity for oil and gas in this nation. We are not going to send our oil and our hydrocarbon liquids across the oceans to be refined somewhere else and then brought back here. We produce 1 million barrels a day of crude oil in this state every day. We refine about 4 million. If you want to be dependent on foreign oil, take down or diminish our refining capacity. Now, having said that, that's, I guess, an admonishment, but at the same time, we're willing to work with you on that. I think those refiners are too. But I would ask you in post-haste to find some agreement with TCEQ on the flexible permitting process, and let's have a win-win-win-win on this, and not put the domestic production capacity of this nation in jeopardy. Anyway, thank you very much.
Mr. Stevens, since you brought up Flint Hills, I'll just make a comment there. No one here is going to diminish the refining capacity of the country. That's not our intention.
Good.
At the same time, the state has issued air quality permits that we feel are illegal and need to be fixed. And either the state issues permits that are consistent with federal law, or we would. And that's the point of our discussion.
And I appreciate that. And again, you have our commitment to work with you on that without any reservation.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. The next two speakers, Mr. Ken Morgan and Mr. Ed Ireland, please.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Ed Ireland, and I'm the Executive Director of the Barnett Shale Energy Education Council. We're a nonprofit organization with just one mission, and